What a good day.
It has been a good day.
Yeah.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I am Chuck Rogers, licensed professional counselor and licensed marriage and family therapist.
And I'm Keith Dunn, and I am a network engineer.
And together we're Tabletop Coffee.
Yep, where we are bold and never, ever bitter.
And tonight we're asking the question, what is your end point? Stay tuned, we'll talk about it. This came up for me the other day in staff meeting as we were talking about various cases like we typically cover together. And the idea began to resonate within me. What is my endpoint? What is your endpoint? What is the endpoint of the person about whom we are talking?
Right.
And it goes back to this whole premise of how much pain are you willing to endure? If I put my hand on the burner, I'm going to jerk it away right away because it hurts so much.
That's right.
That I'm not going to keep it there. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that in a lot of areas of life, it's like we put our hand on the burner and just leave it there and leave it there and leave it there until our hand is in a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah, and it doesn't take long for most things for your hand to get in that type of trouble.
No, it really doesn't. So I think the subject about which we were talking the other day in staff meeting was this whole deal of excessive alcohol intake.
Oh, okay.
And I remember back many years ago when I was working on the children's unit at Virginia Baptist Hospital, inpatient psychiatry with Centra Health. And this lady called me, this mother called me and was talking to me about her, I think, college-age son, And she was wanting him to get help for his drinking. And he wasn't at the place yet where he wanted to be able to, was willing to get some help.
Okay.
And the end of the conversation didn't feel good to me. And I said to her, it's not going to happen yet because, the more beach balls are going to have to rise to the surface. Something is going to happen. I don't know what it'll be, when it'll be, and to what degree it will be. And I know it's scary.
Okay.
But this is going to have to get worse before it gets better because he's not feeling enough pain.
Right.
And I got a phone call within a couple of weeks that his car ended up on the 9th green of a local golf course because he was so intoxicated.
Okay.
And obviously the police were involved at that point. And then she had some legal involvement at that point to kind of twist his arm to be able to get him in to get some help that he really did need.
Right.
And oftentimes for me, I'll have people who will be in my office and this problem will come up, husband, wife, or both, in the relationship of excessive alcohol intake. And I will ask this question, so what's the end point?
Okay.
At what is the end point? How will we know with certainty when this really does need to be addressed? And I encourage them to get really specific about it. So let me ask you, let's say that I am... I'm a therapist and I ask you, the husband and your wife is drinking too much.
Yeah.
How will you know when it's bad enough that you're going to have to really do something, that your wife is drinking too much? How will you know?
Yeah, I tell you what, that's a tough one. It could be as simple, for me, we don't really drink around our house, so that's a tough one for me. It'd be really concerning to me if she got in the car.
Yeah.
And, was driving drunk and could put not only herself at risk, but other people around her at risk.
Yeah. So sometimes I'll ask the question and I'll get that reply. Well, so I'll say, if they become intoxicated again, will you be willing to leave them?
Sure.
Well, probably not.
Yeah.
Okay. What if they drive drunk? Would you be willing to leave them? Well, I really wouldn't want them to drive drunk, but she's driven intoxicated so many times and has made it home and dodged the police and so forth. But I guess that would just be on her. Okay, what if they ever drove intoxicated and with the children in the car? No. At that point, I would be out of there until she got help for herself. So it's important for me as a therapist to help people to establish a clear endpoint.
Okay.
So that when it does happen, and it's likely to happen at that point, then we already have an agreed upon plan of action that will take place at that particular point. So I'm just saying people should have these discussions in advance.
Okay, so alcohol is a big one.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But what about something, I don't know, maybe like physical abuse?
Yeah, that's a great one as well.
Right.
So I encourage the same principle to be used there. Certainly men can be abused by wives, but typically it's kind of the
Right.
other way around physically.
Yeah.
So I would say to that woman, hey, okay, how much are you willing to put up with at this
Yeah.
point? At what point will you know that you know that you know I can no longer be in this relationship?
Yeah.
Like, are you willing to be yelled at? Are
Okay.
you willing to be shoved? Are you willing to be bumped up against with his chest?
Okay.
Or are you willing to be hit?
Yeah.
And if he hits you, are you going to be out there at point? I want her to be able to spell that out so that she knows when X happens, whatever X is for her, that she knows that she is to leave at that particular point.
And that makes you really think through that
Yes.
process of, well, when is this enough?
Yeah.
What have I put up with to this point? Have I already hit my endpoint, and am I still staying in it? And I think that's a great way to look at it, knowing what that endpoint is and knowing this can't continue if you're already, especially at that point.
Yeah. Well, here's another one, a topic
Okay.
that you're big on is money.
Oh, yeah, money's a real big
Yeah.
one.
What's your end point?
Yeah, I was watching a video just today. There was this couple I was watching, and they were talking about money and finances, and they got into their marriage relationship without talking much about how they would handle finances or really anything else in their marriage. And it wasn't long after they were married that this person, the wife, got them $40,000 in credit card
40
debt.
grand.
And the guy was a money guy. He was a financial advisor.
Really?
So I can't even imagine being a financial advisor and helping other people along and then knowing that I'm in this predicament without us talking about that. So what is the end point with money? For them, it was $40,000, I guess.
But just think about this. If they had had this conversation that we're talking about right now,
Right.
and they had set an endpoint of 20,000,
Right.
if we ever hit the $20,000 credit card debt, then
Right.
we're going to have to seek help outside of ourselves. Or what if it
That's
was
good.
10,000?
Yeah.
Or what if it was 5,000? If we ever get our credit cards to the place where we can't pay them off and we are $5,000 in debt, in
Right.
consumer debt, at that point we'll reach out. They would have been $35,000 ahead, but because
That's
they
right.
didn't have that conversation about what's our endpoint, they're 40 grand into debt. Now I'm grateful that it was only 40
That's right.
grand.
Yeah, it could have been a whole lot more.
Yeah.
You hear about these horror stories, but yeah, knowing what that endpoint is, and it would be different based on your financial situation. $1,000 in debt
Sure.
for some people,
But-
especially starting
But
out.
have this
can be hard.
conversation. What is your endpoint? I
Yeah.
think another one too I just thought of is
Okay.
the whole issue of weight gain.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
it's a huge problem in our
Right.
country. At what point, maybe this couple was thinking, okay, I think we can manage our money on our own.
Right.
I think we can do this. I think if we
Sure.
really work hard,
Right.
we can do it. But at X point, 5,000, 10,000, 1,000, whatever it was, you seek help.
Right.
I think the same thing is true for weight loss as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, if I think I can give myself permission to be 5 pounds overweight, 10 pounds overweight,
Sure.
or 20 pounds. But if I hit that 25-pound mark,
Yeah.
at that point, I'm going to need to reach out and get somebody to help coach me so that I can maintain a very healthy weight.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good way of looking at it. It's not saying once I'm 20 pounds overweight or 25 pounds overweight, I'm going to work really hard to bring it down. It's when I'm at this specific weight limit, I've done what I can. I can't maintain it myself. I need help outside of myself
Yeah.
to be able to bring that down.
And I think that if you don't have this conversation about what the end point is,
Yeah.
I think you just kick the can down the road and kick the can down the road and kick the can down the road, knowing that I need to do something. But the end never comes, and you keep kicking it down the road until you end up really, really in trouble.
Yeah, so I kick the can down the road and kick the can down the road and kick the can down the road about one of these topics, and that's blood pressure.
Blood pressure, yeah.
That you might not think about blood pressure or some type of medical issue and put that into having an endpoint But let me tell you, my endpoint was brought to me face to face. I had no choice but to deal with it.
Yeah.
But I knew about it a good while ago. And Lisa, has been on me about blood pressure from a couple of years ago, and then I just sit back and everything seems okay, so I can scoot that down the road and say, "Oh no, honey, I'm fine." But then I got to a point a few weeks ago where I had a problem with my left eye.
I had a hemorrhage.
Yeah. And so I had to do something on that. And now, Lisa and Ashley, that was their endpoint. I tell you what, that was definitely their endpoint. They were on me every day.
You don't want those two done women on you.
No, yeah. Make sure you take your blood pressure medication. Have you checked your blood pressure like 3 times or 4 times each day?
Yeah.
But no, seriously, that's a true thing. That had I done a better job and set an endpoint for myself on that, or had been more open with where that was with Lisa, she would have definitely set an endpoint for me sooner than I would.
Yeah, maybe this case, I'm going to give myself until this date to try to get my blood pressure down on my own.
That's
and
right.
by that date, if it's not within acceptable limits,
Right.
whatever you believe that to be,
Yeah,
then I'm going to seek some help.
that's right.
Hey, I hope you liked our content. If you did, would you maybe not only subscribe, because Keith would like that, but put some comments down below about some endpoints that you have set and have been successful with that, or maybe some endpoints that you think you do need to set for yourself.
Yeah, and be sure and ding that bell so you're notified of upcoming episodes.
Make sure to like it.
Yep, share it with your friends.
Thanks, everyone.
Until next time.